3 terms, so I can't do, there's no greatest common factor because 11 is prime. There's no difference of squares. I have a 10 in front of the x squared, so I'm jumping all the way to doing the box method. So let's practice a couple together because it's been a day here. So this is, I think, the hardest factoring strategy out of the 4 because there's just so many steps. Greatest common factor, difference of squares, and the box method are all a little bit shorter. This is a little bit longer of a problem. You put 10x squared and you put 3 inside your 2 part of your box. The 11x is going to get split up in these 2 boxes strategically. So I don't know if it's going to be 7x and 4x or 5x and 6x. So I do the diamond to figure that out. Your diamond, A times C, goes on the top. So in this case, 10 has to get multiplied by the 3. So that's 30 on top. And then 11 on the bottom. So what are the factors of 30 that add up to 11? Okay, what is 6 and 5? Those are how we're going to split up this 11x. 6x and 5x go in your box. If you flip-flop your 5x and your 6x, you'll still get the same answer, just in a different order. So now, here's the hard part. 10x squared. There's a couple factors I could use. I could put a 10x times an x. I could put a 5x times a 2x. If I put them in the wrong spot, so for example, if I put a 5x right here, and I try doing this, how am I going to know that this is wrong? 5x, how do I get 6x? I can't. So I just erase them and I start again. So use a pencil, but it would be the 5x up top and the 2x on the side to help me get what's coming next. So then 5x times 1 gives me 5x, and 2x times 3 gives me 6x, and then I double check here. Is 3 times 1 3? So it has to work out at the end. And then you write it using the 2 parentheses. So I'd have 5x plus 3 times 2x plus 1 as my factored answer. And then how do I know that I can stop at this step? It doesn't say equals 0 on here. So it doesn't say to solve, it just says to factor. And if I use the box method in reverse, right, multiplying them out, I should get back to the beginning problem. Does that kind of feel familiar from yesterday? We only did 2 of them yesterday, so. All right, so let's try number 2 together. What do I always look for first? Greatest common factor, and this has a greatest common factor. So don't be so caught up and say, oh, I gotta do the box method. If you divide by 3, you're not gonna have to do the box method. So it might save you a step if you're on the lookout for greatest common factor. All right, so divide everything out by 3 before you start. So I would just have x squared, and then 3 divided by 3 here would just give me minus x, and then minus 2. This is not finished, but at least now I only have to do the diamond method, right? Because this is a 3-termed quadratic, and so I've got to use the diamond method. And you're only doing the diamond method on these 3 terms. The 3 is just going to be part of our answer at the end. So you can copy the 3 down, and then we're trying to factor this. So I put an x in each line of 3 terms, put an x in each. Right? That's what they say to do. Minus here, plus there, this and what I teach. Okay, so I'm going to put a negative 2 up here and a negative 1 down here, because this time there's a 1 sitting in front of the x squared, because the 3 is outside. So I'm just going to put the negative 2 here and the negative 1 here. What are the factors I'm looking for? What times what is negative 2? 2 and 1. Which one should I make negative so they add up to negative 1? So I'm going to do negative 2 times 1, right? That adds up. So x minus 2 and x plus 1, I don't have to do the box. These 2 are the actual parts of the factor. So don't do more work than you have to. That one really wasn't that bad. All right, so number 3 is a little bit different. We'll do these together, and then there's some, yeah, I want you to practice on the back, I think, on your own. Or actually, the back is for solving, so we'll do those couple together too. All right, so let's see. Is there a greatest common factor? So there is. It's not going to help me a whole lot because I'm still going to end up with 2x squared in front, right? When I divide everything by 2. It'll make my numbers a little bit smaller though. So 2x squared plus 11x and then plus 5. So I still have to do the box method, but at least instead of finding the factors of 4 times 10, so the factors of 40, I only have to find the factors of 2 times 5. So the factors of 10 is a little bit smaller than the factors of 40 at least. So you're going to set up your box. I'm just going to write at the very bottom. My final answer is going to look like this. That way I'm not going to forget that there's a 2 in front when I finish this whole problem. So I'm going to set up my box, 2x squared and 5. And I'm going to set up my diamond. So 2 times 5 is 10, and 11 goes on the bottom of my diamond. So what are the factors of 10 that I'm looking for that would add up to 11? 1 times 10 is 10. So 1 times 10 is 10. I'm going to put a 1x and a 10x, and that's how I split up my 11x's strategically so that it'll factor. So see if you can do the outside of this box on your own for just a minute, and then I'll put it up. Alicia, in trig, were you using the box method, or did she show you the grouping method instead? Okay. Did you do factoring this year or not yet in trig? Okay. Okay, pick whichever one you prefer. I'm not going to show them grouping. I think one method is good enough to just practice a bunch, but when they get to a different math class, it's nice to have multiple methods. But one is enough because we have like 4 methods for 4 different situations. All right, so I know that it's 2x and I know that it's x. I'm going to put the 2x on top and the x on the side, right? So then x times 1 and 2x times 5. I'm just going to double check at the end that 1 times 5 is 5. Okay, so I did it. So 2 is my greatest common factor, and then I have a factor that is 2x plus 1 and a factor that is x plus 5. That's the hardest, that you're going to do. All right, what is the problem with number 4? Slight problem before we start. It's nice to line it up, right? Line it up in standard form before you start anything. So I'm just going to rewrite 12x squared plus 22x plus 6. Now, if I forget to do the greatest common factor, I'm going to have to do the factors of 72. Pretty big number. What could I divide it by to make my life a little bit easier? There's a greatest common factor of 2. That cuts all your numbers in half. Now you get smaller numbers to deal with. So I'm going to divide out a 2 from every single term before I start. So I really have x squared plus 11x plus 3. So I still have to do the box method. So I'm going to get you started on it, and you're going to try it this time. I'm going to put 2 down at the bottom so I don't forget that there was a greatest common factor. I flipped it around, right? So 12x squared, 22x, and 6 is standard form. When you're doing factoring, you want to be in standard form. Then I divided by 2, right? So now I can do the box method on 6x squared. So I'm going to put 6x squared here. Does anyone like factoring? I do. It's like a puzzle, and then it comes out and it all fits and works. So It's okay. You don't have to be shy if you really actually like factoring secretly, some of you. You just like look at it in your head. Yeah, that's fine. I think we're not at that level yet. This one I think is harder to do with guess and check with FOIL because it's 6x squared, right? It's not prime. So you have to guess in your head, oh, is it 6x or 1x? Is it 2x or 3x? All right, so let's finish setting up the box. What did I put on the top of my diamond? 6 times 3 this time is 18, and I have to add up to 11. So see if you can grab the correct two factors, put them in the box, and do the outside of the box yourself. Don't say the answer yet. Let's give people kind of like 2 minutes to think about it and see if they can get it. So you should have used 2 and I lost my pen. 2 times 9 multiplies to 18 and adds to 11. So a 2x and a 9x. It is okay if you put your 2x in the opposite box. We'll get the same answer down here. So I have to think about the factors of 6. So when I look across this box, I don't see a 6 here, and I don't see like a factor of 6 here. So I probably don't want to use 6x times 1x. So I maybe want to use 2x times 3x instead out here. So see how when I look across, I see the 2x sitting here? I probably want to put the 2x across from the 2x. And if I put a 3x here, ooh, that'll help me get to 9x. So this step is tricky if the 6 is not prime, right? Because you don't know it's just 2x times x. You got to go through your options in your head. Maybe you just write the option down and then see what would work. I'm going to put 2x times the 3x in those strategic spots. So then I would just have 3x times 3 and 2x times 1. And then I'm just double checking 1 times 3 is 3. That works. So 3x plus 1 and 2x plus 3 are my two factors. And remember, why are we factoring? We're factoring to find the x-intercepts. But on this whole page, all we practice is just the factoring step. On the next page, I want to do 2 more with you, and then I'm going to have you do a few practice, and I'll walk around and kind of help. And then we can do a game of Halloween Matho, which does involve some factoring, but it also involves some Halloween riddles. All right, so here we go. I got these 2 problems. How are these different? They say equals 0 at the end. So factor and solve. So I have to do the factoring step and then say what x is. How do I know that I'm going to use the box method? I have a 2x squared right there. I don't think your legs quite all that. Like all the way. So I'm going to set up the box. You're setting this one up? Adele, you're going to set this one up on your paper? Okay. So I've got 2x squared goes here, and a negative 4 goes here. And I'm going to set up my diamond. So I've got to multiply this 2 times this negative 4. So I'd have negative 8. So negative 8 on top and a negative 7 down below. All right, see if you can pick the factors and set up the box. And I'll just wait a minute until you've. So let's make sure we have negative 8 and positive 1, right, as our factors. So negative 8x, positive 1x, either order. It looks like I'm going to put a 2x over here, right? 2x times x. See if you can fill in these other 2 positions now that you know that the 2x goes here, right? What would have to go there to multiply to get you negative 8x? What has to go over here to get positive 1x? Write them in yourself. So it should be negative 4 and positive 1 like that. X minus 4 and 2x plus 1. Don't forget, this problem originally said equals 0. So So I have one more step to do using the zero product property. What will make this equal 0? And what will make this equal 0? So the answer here is 4, right? Because 4 minus 4 is 0. That would be one of my x-intercepts. That one was easy to do in my head. X equals 4. This one is not easy to do in my head. So I'm going to write 2x plus 1 equals 0. I'm going to set x1 to the other side of the equation. So now I have 2x equals -1. What would be my last step to get x by itself? Opposite of multiplication is division, so x also equal -1/2. I just want to kind of reinforce, if I graph 2x squared minus 7x minus 4 on the calculator, where does it cross the x-axis? It crosses the x-axis at exactly 4 and exactly 1/2. So those are my two x-intercepts. And the other way you can check if it's a calculator problem, if you put your standard form equation in one of the y equals and you put your factored equation in the other y equals, what was it, 2x plus 1? Shouldn't they graph on top of each other? So see how the red graph just graphed on top of the blue graph? So on a test, if you had a calculator, you can actually double check in the y equals menu that you have the correct factors and that you have the correct y and x-intercepts. All right, you try number 6. Take a couple minutes. I recognize there's no greatest common factor. I put an 8x squared here and a 3 down in the bottom. And I have to do a diamond to set up the other two boxes. 3 times 8 is 24. So I need the factors of 24 that add up to 10. What did you pick? 6 times 4. So 6x and 4x. So see if you can do the outside of the box now and write your factors and solve for 0. See if you can do those other. So it should be -3/4 from the first parentheses or -1/2 from the second parentheses.